G'day scrappers. Well, here I am doing a bit of a scrap marathon because I really need to do that. Got so much stuff here I just can't keep up, so I've got to for the next week keep processing as much as I can. See, I've got a Netgear Ready NAS 2100, sort of like a network storage system. Pretty heavy, so no doubt there's going to be some kind of there'll be some hard drives in here. If I can work out how to get it open. But yeah, I didn't go street scrapping this weekend, simply because I found it was going to be pointless going street scrapping when gosh, how do I get this open? I've got so much stuff here, it's not funny. So it would have been just crazy going out and getting more stuff when I can't keep up with what I've got. I've been doing quite a lot of business pickups, and I've got some more bigger ones lined up as well, so just not going to have enough room to handle everything. Hey, good little 2 terabyte hard drives. Not that 2 terabyte is much anymore. Systems like this, they'd probably want definitely at least 8 terabytes. 4 terabytes in each one. Even 4 is pretty standard, actually. But yeah, so I thought, well, I did 3 weeks of street scrapping in a row, and even though the third week wasn't very good, and the area that's going on at the moment this week is traditionally not overly exciting. So I thought, okay, I'll use this week as a break, try and get on top of as much as I can. Like I said, I've got pickups lined up in the next couple of days, and so just got to get another batch of at least stuff that I scrap out, scrap metal to the scrapyard, and clear off space that way. Probably got, I don't know, 7 or 8 microwaves already filled up with plugs and stuff that I've been processing over the weekend, and it wouldn't surprise me as some of my bigger clients that I've still got a lot of their stuff from the last pickups will call me, and I'll be totally overloaded. The point of sales that I get from one client, I've still got probably 150 of them that need to be processed, and before you know it, they'll call me again and say, oh yeah, you know, there's another 150 or even possibly 200 of them ready to be picked up again. And it will just be, I certainly got nowhere to put them, so I've really got to get them done and out the way. Or is every time I go to the scrapyard, I take at least like 10 or 12, throw it in scrap metal after I've processed them, to not overload the batch of scrap metal with them, because they do have screens, but the scrapyard still kind of accepts them. So there we go. Don't know what I did with my little screwdriver. Just get the battery out. Got a little RAM stick, one gig RAM. So it's basically, it's kind of like a little motherboard, but yeah, should get away with this being, you know, just in regular motherboards. I'll leave the fingers on just to make it a little bit better. And if I can get this little, I won't take the back plane because it doesn't have any chips on it. It's just got capacitors, so it's technically not really even a, it's not a mid-grade board or anything, so I'm just going to leave that. Same as this little thing. Oh well, that's one more item out the way. And there we go. Oh, that was quick and easy. Well, we got a little motherboard, and at least we got 4 hard drives out of it, and a power supply. Throw it into power supplies. That's done. All right, so this is a what is that? A CXI controller, like a PABX. Yeah, looks like it might have a decent board in there. Mitel. We'll check it out. Okay, well, it's pretty decently loaded with boards, so that's always good. Mid-grade up here. It's got a little RAM stick. It's got a hard drive. Bit of everything. Yeah, so the weekend was a good weekend as far as weather-wise. It was reasonably sunny, quite windy, but it would have been good to get out, but that's okay. Let everyone else get a good batch of scrap for themselves, and you know, if I didn't have the business of collecting e-waste, yeah, I'd be out there, you know, twice a week going hard. But you know, okay, it's quite a decent card here. A couple of gold bands. Yeah, good one. Just a basic mid-grade. Same again. Little RAM stick. Ooh, nice chunky RAM stick, this one. Cool. Adds to the stash. All right. Yeah, the thing I'm least excited about scrapping is the point of sales. They're really easy, they're quick, but once I've done like 10 of them, they just do me head in after a while. You know, just to you know, I've got to break it up as I go, otherwise I just get over them. You know, like scrapping too many in one go. So that's what I'll try and do, at least 10, and take them away into this week's scrap metal batch. That's not working. Okay, this one might need a bit of coercion. Okay, well, it's actually quite a high grade board. Goes server grade, quite good. It's got, see, at least 3 gold bands for me. Yeah, good, decent weight. Always got to remember to take the battery out. So, you know, for scrappers, that sell boards, especially bring me boards. While you're scrapping, take the batteries out. These MLCCs, I even got a couple more gold bands on this side. Like I've shown, I take an MLCC if they look like the good ones. Run a magnet, and as you can see, they're not sticking to a hard drive magnet, right, which is super strong. So these are noble metal, silver and palladium MLCCs. If you can see them, they're tiny, but yeah, as I keep saying, it all adds up. And so yeah, these couple of lines of MLCCs, because they are noble metals, and that's what I do now. Instead of just taking off MLCs randomly, I always and only when there's quite a few, enough to make it worth the time. But it's a high grade board. It's a good board. Okay, and we've got just a mid-grade board here, but we've got the main board, and that's our main man, and a hard drive. Quite old school, 40 gigabyte. Gosh, this is a really old system. 40 gig. Yeah, interesting. Get the power supply. Okay, good power supply. And actually, it's a quite a high grade, mid grade board. It's quite a good one. Does have MLCCs again, which will probably be noble metals. So because it's a mid grade, I definitely will take the MLCCs. You know, it's worth the time. Not that I'm ever going to process MLCCs. Who knows? Because once you're dealing with palladium, it's a whole different ball game. It takes extreme furnace heat. So this is just a power board. All I want is just get a transformer out, and I might take the aluminium heat sinks. Not worth the strain on the hands to break them off. Just leave it in as scrap metal. And there we go. That's our MyTech PABX controller thing. Good-o. And how's this? I've just picked up on Friday. It's another one of those variable transformers, Variax, whatever. This one's a nice old one, and it's yeah, it's in good condition. You know, and not that I've ever used a Variax transformer. I don't know what to use it for. But this is one of the better ones that I've actually gotten. I like these old school looking. It was actually manufactured in India, in New Delhi, by Green Dot Electric Corp. But you can see inside there, look at that beautiful transformer. Beautiful copper fins running all around. really nice. And yeah, I just like the look of it. It looks really steampunky, so it'll add to my steampunk sort of stuff. So you know, sometimes when I've shown these variable transformers, people have said, "Oh, I'll take that. Can I have that?" You know, this one I will keep, simply because it looks cool, and who knows, one day it might actually come in handy for whatever reason. So I just did a pickup from one of my regular clients. They make, you know, things with electrics, but this is what I get from them, this kind of stuff, and I've got heaps, and there is a whole heap more, and you know, they're only like, they're transformers, obviously, obviously brand new in packet, of various sizes, ready to go, but you know, obviously it's low value, and all I end up with is a whole heap of packaging material that I've got to get rid of. Like this, you can't recycle. You got to just, that goes into landfill. Believe it or not, no one recycles it. Cardboard, yeah, but it adds up. And I saw the stockpile that they had that they're going through, but you know, just boxes and boxes of them, and so I take it, but it's not the sort of thing I really look forward to, because it's just time consuming for what they're worth as scrap, and it's just hard to find people that, you know, into this sort of stuff these days, that want to grab them and pay, you know, I don't know, a little bit more than scrap or something, you know, and then just, this is just aluminium or stainless steel brackets, and it's just a pain to, you know, undo, you know, take them all out of the plastic, and you know, it's just, for what they're worth, they're not worth much at all. Yeah, just boxes of them, and so you might think, oh, it's still good, it's scrap, but it just takes more time than it's really worth, and you know, hourly rate is like 50 cents an hour on that sort of stuff. All right, let's see what else we've got to scrap. All right, so I've got a old school generic PC, Aussie Tech. So, you know, back in these days, a lot of PC shops were around, and they'd, you know, put together their own generic PCs for customers. Yeah, sometimes, you know, they can be reasonably well put together, good stuff in them, and as I mentioned, you know, the cards can be quite good on these for resale. So always pay attention to the cards, because sometimes they can, you know, the customer wanted, you know, high-end graphics or something for their use, and yeah, sometimes they, you know, back in the day, they could spend more on the graphics card than the whole PC. And obviously RAM back in the day was really expensive, and some cases we had, I remember back in the day, there were RAM shortages, and RAM went through the roof, and all kinds of things. So we'll just pull out this old school hard drive here. This 1 gigabyte, 1024 meg. It's actually in really pretty condition for what it is. Old caviar. All right, so the cards. Okay, so here's one here, just an Ethernet card. These, not really what we're after. We're more after this kind of card. Don't know if it's any good or not, but I might keep it aside, show show my vintage guys and see what they say. Old floppy. I've got plenty of floppies, so won't bother with this, but can always, just sending it off as scrap, these floppies can just go as irony alley, because mostly it's aluminium. You can take the board if you want, I don't bother, or the motor. I just throw it into irony alley, probably just to make it look good. Sometimes you can just take off this steel cover or even this bit of plastic. Yeah, in this case I'll take off the top cover just so it looks a little bit better for irony alley. There we go. So it's got a cast aluminium frame, and that's a bit better for the scrapyard. Okay, oh, we've got a really nice motherboard actually. It does have one of those overdrive CPUs. So we can get this out now. There we go. These fans are kind of stuck on pretty hard. Can get them off, but yeah, at least it's a ceramic. We don't find many ceramics, and I'm pretty sure this PC was picked out of hard rubbish. Street scrapping one day, I think the first week. So, you know, I love my vintage stuff, PCs, when I find them in hard rubbish. It's just an extra bonus. And okay, and we do have quite a few RAM sticks, and again these old school RAM are also sellable, sometimes very sellable. Sometimes even the power supplies, but you know, I'm not a known old school, well, this power supply, it's all rusted. It's obviously been left outside in the backyard for a number of years. So I can't keep everything that's potentially sellable in old school vintage PC, because most of the time I don't even know what I'm holding, and yeah, I just don't have a warehouse to do it. Okay, so yeah, as I said, it's actually quite a nice motherboard, this, and it's got four nice old school, a couple of different ones, a couple of double-sided, and so I'll just put these aside for now, and I'll check the RAM out. They can be sellable, and sell them in pairs usually, and yeah, it's actually quite surprising what you get. And I mean, even the motherboard itself, but this old battery won't be any good. Way too old. And it's probably a good thing to actually remove the batteries so they don't leak or corrode. So I'll put that aside, and we're done here. And normally I use PCs as cavities, but I've got so many microwaves at the moment. I'll just throw it out like that. I'll probably put a couple of screws in it just to hold it together. So there we go. Nice and easy scrap some of these old school PCs, and we're done with another item. And it's just just a process, just on and on. Just keep, rinse and repeat. This is one of the dreaded point of sales. This one sitting on top of a stack outside, so it's soaked up a lot of water and stuff. And before the screws get too rusty, I'll get rid of this one. But yeah, like I said, I've got there's over 150. There might even be 200. These and telephones at the moment are just overwhelming me. Sometimes I just get fed up with the telephones. Instead of scrapping them out and sending most of it to plastic and just taking out the circuit board, sometimes I just give it to my plastic recycler and say just shred them up complete, because they've got a metal magnet that takes out all the metals, well, the steel anyway, and they sell they actually, not only sell the shredded up plastic, but they also sell the shredded circuit board stuff. So it just depends on what's in it. If it's straight plastic, they get one price. If it's a mixed plastic with circuit board, they get a better price, and they just go with that. And I've got a whole wheelie bin full of these copper aluminium radiators and heat sinks. They go as radiators here, but at least it's like a PC scrapping these out. And so, like I said, they don't take a long time to scrap. It just, after a whole bunch of them, just does your head in, because it's not just like what I'm doing here is just pulling up the wire and that, tiny little plugs on them, so got to clean up every plug, and that's the most time consuming part of it. So each one does take 5 minutes or so, maybe a bit longer to scrap. So here we got the motherboard, we got the 2 RAM, the hard drive. It depends on the hard drive. I don't get much. There are 64 gig hard drives, and then there are 256. So the 200, when they got 256, I keep all them because I can get a little bit for them. And obviously the motherboard and the circuit boards are sold, but the RAM as well. So don't get a lot. So these are 4 gig RAMs. So there'll either be 2 4 gig RAMs or 1 8 gig RAM. So I don't get a great deal for the 4 gig anymore, simply because I bring him like 100, 200 at a time, and my buyer gets them from other places. So once you've got 1,000 4 gig RAM sticks, so it takes a long time to sell them, and so the price goes down a little bit. Pretty much every time I bring in a new batch, they're another 50 cents each down. But still, I get better than scrap value, so that's the main thing. Just one less thing to hold. So yeah, these are 4 gig RAM. Sometimes I get 2 8 gigs in one thing, especially the newer ones. There's even newer versions of these point of sales coming, and so probably by next year I'll be doing ones with all 8 gig RAM sticks, and possibly even 16 gig RAM sticks. So this is a 64 gig hard drive. So I still could sell it, but it's just not worth it for the amount. I might as well just leave it. Same as these Wi-Fi cards, can sell them, but for the price that I get, maybe in other countries they get much better prices. For me, it's just, might as well just save the time and not worry about it. And so they're just all mid-grade boards. That's not bad. And there we go. We're just about done. Last bit of wire, and that's it. And so because they're actually quite heavy, they do have a piece of glass underneath, but there does contain a lot of steel as well as the steel back. So I'm lucky enough that I can send these off to the scrapyard, but just not like 50 at a time or something. Just keep it, you know, so it isn't overly noticed, and yeah, they don't mind a bunch of them. So yeah, so that was it, and yeah, and as I said, that's the motherboard, and sometimes there are a couple of gold band crystals, one on the back. Sometimes I take them off, but when I'm doing so many of them, I'm just glad to just throw it into motherboard. You can see they're really small, you know, and we sell scrap motherboards by weight, so you know, it takes 4 of these to match one regular motherboard, I reckon, just about. But still, it's something, hey. So we just got a standard cheap DVD player, and I pick up a lot of these. Obviously, you see me picking them up when I'm street scrapping. I do get some people ask me, you know, what do I get out of a DVD, and why do I pick up DVDs? Well, basically what I'm doing is I'm picking up scrap metal. So, you know, it's goes as scrap steel. So we get value that way. But, you know, obviously, unlike your scrap steel guys that will pick them up and just throw them straight into scrap steel, I'll at least open them up and get the main circuit board. They're only a mid-grade board, but I don't worry about the little power board here. But we do get, obviously, wire as well, and so, you know, so there is a little bit more value than just, obviously, scrap steel. So why not? Yeah, I find them easy to scrap, and, you know, not a whole heap of value because the circuit boards are usually only small. So, but it's still, you know, you're getting 7 or 8 times more for the circuit board than you would if you just threw it into scrap steel. A lot of people can't be bothered, and they just, you know, if they pick them up, yeah, they throw into scrap steel. A lot of scrap steel guys don't even pick them up. So I kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So, you know, I also get a lot of people saying, oh, why don't you take more scrap steel instead of just eWaste? But this is my scrap steel. And so that's what I want. Throw that, you know, it's got a bit of weight to it. We throw that into mid-grade boards, and there you go. You could take off the transformer if you want. I don't bother. Just really quick and easy. So if I pick up 20 of these, I can rip through these in an hour, and, you know, I've still got 20 cases for scrap steel, and I've got my circuit board and a bit of wire. You know, it all adds up, eh? Same again, just a random piece of electronics. It's a Philips surround receiver. You know, all this sort of stuff has reached its end of life. But once again, it's a glorified piece of scrap metal. But at least, you know, we've got a better power supply board here. We can get some transformers off and some iron alley, you know, if we want to add to the value. We're getting our wire from all over, and a pretty decent size mid-grade board, so why not? That's what it's all about, I reckon. Oh, also got a nice little transformer there. So this one weighed a little bit more, so everything is, you know, a little bit getting better value than scrap steel, and we're getting, you know, we're getting value. So there we go. Nice little transformer, goes in the transformer bucket. Beautiful. Quite a lot of wire in this setup. There you go, see? Good stuff. All good. Just whether you're willing to take the time and do a little bit more than just throwing scrap steel into your truck and then just taking it straight to the scrapyard. You know, spend a little bit of time. You're increasing your value, especially if you don't get a whole heap of stuff, and so you want to obviously maximize the value of what you're picking up, because it may not be for a week or so till you get another batch. So, well, spend the time, and so there we go. Like I said, you can get the copper spools, even the transformers if you want to go that far, clean off the wire, get the capacitors for iron alley, even the heat sinks here, nice chunkier heat sinks might even be worth cleaning them up and just throwing it into extruded. Good stuff. And there we go, a mid-grade board. Probably have to take off this heatsink, but it's extruded aluminium. I pretty much get the same for extruded aluminium as I do for the mid-grade anyway, so I'm not losing anything removing it off the board, but at least the board looks a whole lot better, looks more like a mid-grade rather than some kind of power board or something. So there we go. Might have to pop these rivets out if they're magnetic, we'll check them out, but a nice piece of extruded aluminium. And now we've got a board that looks more like just a circuit board, mid-grade, and away we go with that too. Straight into the bucket. Okay, and we've got a little power board here that's not worth taking out. It just doesn't have anything on it. More wire, and bingo bango. Off to scrap steel. Hey, that's how it's done. Okay, I've got a server coming up now. Got a few servers, nice big things, good to get rid of them. That's a Dell PowerEdge R710. Same deal, we've got some original Dell hard drives. Well, that certainly gets off a bit of weight. That one's blank. There we go. 5 hard drives. Yep, that helps a lot. And then power supplies. They don't have gold fingers, just pins. Don't worry about them. There we go. Too easy. Okay. Typical Dell. Big chunk of plastic. Might get out the fans. Hot swap fans. Yeah, so this one, it's got a couple of CPUs, but it's only got 2 RAM sticks each side. You know, potentially it could have had 8 on each side, so a bit lean. And they're only 1 gig RAM sticks. Wow. Not much at all. Very low, what's the word? Low value system as far as, yeah. Obviously I don't know where I picked this up. I can't remember, but it may have just been a school, and they obviously didn't need anything like a bigger business. You know, they'd have RAM. I mean, 4 gig of RAM in a server. It's amazing. It's got both CPUs running. Just aluminium, these ones. You can just feel by the weight when they're quite heavy. This would usually be tin plated copper, but not in this case. And no point in checking out the serial numbers of the CPUs or the model numbers, because this old system, they're going to go straight into scrap CPUs. Gosh, some of the CPUs that I get are, you know, really late model ones, and they're even hard to sell. So what are you going to do? Just sit yourself right in the middle of my job? Crazy. Crazy scrapper chook. Alright, so how am I going to do my job if you're just going to sit there? But it should be a pretty quick scrap, actually, this one. Come on. Okay, say hello, and oh, you're getting fatter every day. All right. Okay, so this is going to take some torques. Okay. So yeah, I'm doing a pickup tomorrow. That's going to be, it's mostly PCs, not many, but it's in the city, so it's a bit of a, you know, got to go through traffic and stuff, but there's about a dozen PCs, so it fits my minimum. So I'll get it done and come back. I mean, hopefully it should be reasonably quick. Just go into loading dock. It's a pretty big building in the city, and I think it's on the 20th floor, so hopefully I'm in and out in 10 or 15 minutes, and come back to this scrapping and just yeah, try and process as much as I can, as quick as I can. Still debating whether to go street scrapping on the weekend again. Quite a decent card, but you know, quite a high grade card, but will definitely be old school riser. Alright. A little bit of cast aluminium. Another riser card. Cool. Now, where's the tricky Dell button? There it is. Okay. There's our motherboard. Yeah. Typical server motherboard from Dell. Nothing, certainly nothing worth taking off. You don't want to depopulate anything like this if you're selling them, because you'd just be downgrading what is already, to me, quite a reasonably low grade anyway. Yeah, so I just got to remove it off the back plate and we're done by the looks. You again. I'll get this back plane board, just throw it into mid-grade, and we're done here, Chuck. I'll put it together when I get rid of this chicken. All right, that's a server done. I've got about 30 of these picked up from a school recently. They're the Acer Veritons. These are i3 first generation. Even the school haven't been using these for years, or at least a year. They've had it in storage, so I mean, the tech has been trying to get the school to authorise to get rid of them for about 18 months, and he said finally they let me get rid of them. They've just been sitting in storage there for doing absolutely nothing, and I thought, yeah, well, 18 months ago, I might have gotten some resale value out of them, but i3 first generations are totally finito now. So, at least they come, fully packed. So they've got their hard drive, RAM, and obviously CPU and stuff, so at least get decent scrap value. I mean, not that hard drives are the be all and end all of value. They're not worth much. It's, scrap value. They're only worth about 50 cents or so, because we sell them by weight. But if you're getting hundreds of them, that adds up as well. Okay, so so they're too small to use them as cavities for anything, So I just put the cover back on and get rid of them. A little board here. This one we can get away with being a mid-grade board because it does have an IC chip and some stuff. If they're just normal risers or backplanes with no chips on them at all, then they're a nothing board. They're just throw them into scrap metal or something. But yeah, so we get a bit of value out of these. Still got a motherboard. It's not the biggest motherboard, but still they're still a decent size, and can't complain. Get a card as well. So with these ones with the fans, you got to pop the fans off to sell them either to me or usually to a board buyer. If they just got the heatsink, that's fine, but when they've got a fan with, obviously it's got a little motor, you've got to get rid of them. And same with, when they've got brackets like this hanging off them, you've got to take that off too. I know some people try and get away with leaving things like that on there, but you can't expect the buyers to, pay decent price and buying, things that are just scrap steel, really. So you've got to keep them reasonably clean. Okay. power supply out. So, just a little power supply. As I've said, I can sell them as irony alley with the cord. You remove the cord, they just go as scrap steel. Okay, and CPU, can't remember what the heat sinks were. It would be a bonus if they were copper stackers. No, so they're just straight extruded heat sinks. No copper in the center. Clean it up. Okay, some like to get the fans out, or the motor, just cut them out, wire, plastic. I've got a fan motor, there's a heatsink, still got to remove these pins, but yep, extruded alley. First Gen i3. Scrap CPU, RAMs, probably be 1 gig, 2 gig each, that's not bad, 4 gigs, so they were good systems for students at the time. Like I said, they haven't been using them for over a year, maybe a year and a half, and we've got a decent motherboard, not bad. Bit of weight, and there's our chook again, and we're just about scrapped this here again. Beautiful. Well, just keep pumping them out, I suppose. Throw this. It's about the only thing I throw back in. I can put the cover back on because we can. And that's just about it. Where's the cover? Yeah. Job done. Scrap metal. So I'm back here with these point of sales because these are my number one priority for this week. We've just got to get as many done as I can, at least a dozen of them. So, well, I guess it's the end of this little mini marathon, I guess. Mini marathon for the video, but it's a week-long marathon for me, pretty much all day, every day. At least this one's got, there's an example of an 8 gig RAM stick instead of 2 4s. So they're a lot better, get better value for them, obviously. That's what we want. So straight up, I picked the right one. It's hit and miss. But yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure whether I'm going to, I'm hoping to go street scrapping on the coming weekend, but there's no guarantees because it depends on the weather and just depends on how much stuff I pick up through the week. So I already know what I'm getting one pickup, another one I'm not sure. So yeah, we'll just play it by ear because I also need room just to, move things around and get to things that I want to process, or like say I've got a whole heap of scrap laptops that need to go out with the next batch of circuit boards, and a lot of them have gotten buried in the garage there, so I really need to get onto as much as I can. So yeah, it's just one of those moments at the moment where it's just everything's just a little bit overwhelming as far as my volumes are concerned, but eventually I'll get there, you know. See, that was simple, you know. It's just, well, reasonably simple. It's just doing one after the other. And the only other thing that I need to get on top of are all these Cisco routers. Way too many of these as well. So I'd love to, because they're right here undercover, and the undercover area is really important for me when I bring in good laptops to sell. I've got somewhere to keep them, because obviously they're not going to get into the garage at all. So there we go. So these give me plastic and a bit of separate steel, and just obviously a mid-grade board. But yeah, probably got about 60 or 70 of these routers to finish off. So a bit of steel in the microwave. What do you reckon about this? So these ones, these are smaller than the bigger ones that I got, slightly bigger. They kind of look the same, but these smaller ones are actually better scrap value, or got better circuit boards, because they've got, you know, this little stick that can go as a RAM stick. It's only got one chip. It's technically not RAM, it's some kind of other memory, but they're actually quite a good board, and they do have a gold band that I can take off, so I'll process these, and but yeah, and I'll probably take off one of the BGAs just to bring it closer to a mid-grade board. The only thing with these is I get this steel, but it does give me a lot of plastic. But hey, what do you do? That's part of the game. And these are the bigger ones, and so they're all steel. So at least in that sense, I get you know, I don't have to worry about scrapping, you know, trying to pass on the plastic, because it's probably going to be a couple of weeks before I can get my board buyer here to take all the circuit boards and then take a tub of plastic for me. But just move this across a bit. Yeah. So I actually have twice as many of these than the plastic ones. So it is good for you know, scrap value. But as you can see, the board, it's a bigger board, but virtually, you know, it's only a mid-grade board. Doesn't have a great deal, you know, just a few little memory ICs. Doesn't even have that little memory stick. You know, it could have had more chips there. It doesn't even have any gold band crystals, or a tiny one there. But yeah, completely different. And I mean, but still, it's still a mid-grade board, and it's bigger, so should still get better weight. So that's what it's all about in the end. And a lot more screws. There we go. Yeah, I think I'll do these steel ones. That way I can at least get rid of them at the scrapyard. And these risers, strange, but one of these risers are brass and one is steel. And there we go. Straight out mid-grade board. There's really nothing for me to try and get any extra value out of. Yeah, but still good weight, and that's them. So yeah, like I said, at least I've got some scrap steel here, and we're done. Well, yeah, so rinse and repeat. That's all it's about. So yeah, the point of sales, a lot of them to do. Finish off all these Cisco switches. They're just scrap laptops. They're just hanging around waiting for my board buyer. And these are just the ones that are just stacked there. There's stacks in the garage as well. And but slowly, and had a regular client call me, and they wanted 4 bins so they could load up with cable and stuff like that, and a very big client. And so I had to go. I didn't have any empty bins, so I had to go and buy 4 more. These are my ones, the black with the black bin with the grey lids. And so I had to go and buy 4, especially for this client. And all I'm doing is, I've left them there, and in a couple of weeks I'll go and pick them up and take them back. And so then I'm going to have 4 extra bins lying around, but I can always use them. As you can see, nothing much has changed in here, and these are the point of sales that I've got undercover, and there's heaps more in the back there, but I've got about 100 of them outside. So they're the first ones I want to get rid of, the outside ones, and then they're probably still a month away before I actually get the process. And my microwave situation has gone down a bit, so good. I've been using up quite a few for rubbish and stuff, but my circuit board situation in here is it's not getting any better. It's just getting fuller and fuller. I've really got to start sorting them out, and yeah, as I said, in a couple of weeks get rid of them. All right, guys, well, I think it was going to be a longer marathon than I thought, but I just I can't get to anything different. They're all scrapped microwaves, full of stuff mostly. So yeah, I've got to do, there's my safe, got to get rid of all that for scrap metal. But yeah, I just don't have access to find anything different to scrap. And so I'm just, yeah, like I said, I'm just going to go over and over the same stuff now for the rest of the week, and clear this off next time I'm on video here. These shouldn't be here at all, hopefully. All right, guys, keep scrapping, have fun, and I'll catch you soon.